Who taught you, please, who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such extent that you bleach to get like the white man? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet? Who taught you to hate your own kind? Who taught you to hate the race that you belong to? So much so that you don't want to be around each other. No, before you come asking Mr. Muhammad, does he teach hate, you should ask yourself who taught you to hate being what God gave you.
Hi, my name is Ayana. I have been a natural hairstylist in Atlanta for over 15 years. I decided to become a natural stylist because of the damage that relaxers were doing not only to our hair, but also internally. In this video, I'm interviewing clients, asking them about their personal hair experience and journey. I hope you enjoy this video as much as I enjoyed making it. How long have you been natural?
So I stopped getting my hair relaxed, I think it was my second year in college, so around 2005.
I went natural, it's probably around 2005 or 6.
Probably, I'm actually counting the years, it's actually probably closer to 7 years now.
I've been natural about 7 to 8 years.
How old were you when you got your first relaxer?
I was 10, girl. I thought I was doing it.
Was that your decision or your mom's decision?
I begged my mom to get it because I was just like tired of my hair sweating back, and I saw my little friends at school and their hair would be like laid and mine was frizzy, and I didn't like that. And then I just didn't really see a lot of people that looked like me that would have their hair, not either pressed or relaxed.
I was about 6 years old when I got my first relaxer. Yes.
Only developed by then.
Yes.
Was that your decision or your mom's?
It absolutely was not my decision because I was only 6. I think my mom made the decision assuming that it would be easier for her to manage my hair if it was relaxed. So I had a relaxer from the age of 6 years old until I was in my late 30s. I knew nothing other than relaxers. I didn't even have a real appreciation for my hair and my hair texture because I had never really experienced it because it had been relaxed from what I could remember.
Years.
Exactly.
How old were you when you got your first relaxer?
I would say 13.
13. Was that your decision or your mom's decision?
That was my mom's decision because my hair is really, really coarse. Like if she was straightening it, then the next day it would be nappy because I would sweat. I was a child, I was playing still and running track and so forth. So it was like perm was the best thing that came along during that time.
According to the Urban Dictionary, good hair originates in the African American Black community. That term is used to describe people with looser curl or manageable hair. This type of language stems from the history of colorism and society assimilation due to centuries of being taught that lighter skin, softer hair, and European features are more beautiful.
When you talk about that standard of beauty, like, it's crazy because it's especially in African American communities, you'll hear people say, "Oh, she got good hair," and I've always been one of those people like, you have nice hair too. Like, there's no such thing as good hair. You just have to take care of it.
Right. Exactly.
You got to take care of it.
All hair is good hair.
What I think is interesting is the dynamic between our generation and our parents' generation, how they see things and how we see them are completely different. I've had experiences with my own mom where my hair's been out in its natural state, meaning like it's in its curl or it's in its wave, and my mom is like, oh, that, you know, your hair's nappy, and I'm like, my hair is not nappy. My hair is literally naturally beautiful. And they don't see us they don't see our natural hair as anything being beautiful, because they've been brainwashed to think, you know, that it's straight is better. That's right. Straight is better. My mom will not get rid of her perm. My mom is like 70 something years old, and she has not let go of that relaxer. She's tried, but she never really liked it. And that's fine if you don't like it. But to come down on others because they are doing something different than what you're doing, because what it is we've learned, you know, how it can affect our health to have relaxers. We've learned how, you know, to even start giving more self-respect to each other, because we are starting to embrace who we are. And our parents just are not there. They continue with this and try to make us feel really bad about, you know, having our hair in a natural state. And I can actually think that my mother feels embarrassed when she sees me rocking my hair in a puff. I think she's embarrassed. Gorgeous. I think she's embarrassed about that.
You know what? And thinking about that, the Barbie styling hair, right? Their hair wasn't curly.
It wasn't. It was based on, you know, just Barbie. Like the Anglo-Saxon or the Eurocentric view of beauty, which was the straight or long hair.
This started at a very young age. Like, I didn't have any kinky, curly, even wavy curly. They were all bone straight hair to play in.
Bone straight, long hair.
I do remember when I was like really little, like I want to say like kindergarten, not even first grade. I remember looking at different girls and they like had like, you know, the Skechers and like this like straight hair, and I was like I want my hair to be long and straight. And I didn't know how to do that, so there were times when I would just be in my bathroom putting water on my hair and trying to make it straight, and it wouldn't work.
We all did that.
And I asked my mom, can we straighten my hair? And she was like,
no, because your hair is beautiful. You don't.
That's the conversation I'm having with David now. Well, I'll say maybe my son, maybe a year ago now. So he's been into mohawks, and not only mohawks. He didn't make it very clear he wants a spiky mohawk. I'm like, David, your hair's not spiky, baby.
To be fair, black people's hair does defy gravity.
It does defy gravity, but not in that way.
Yeah, I'm like, there's no way you'll be able to, unless you straighten it and relax the curl. We can't, you can have a curly mohawk.
And he's trying to be like Naruto?
Huh?
Like Naruto spiky?
I don't know.
That's probably it.
Probably, I don't know. But he wanted a spiky mohawk, and there's been conversations, even though he's 6 now, he's already told me that. Well, I'm pretty sure it's changed now, but he was like, I don't like my hair. I wish my hair was straight. And I'm like, David, your hair is beautiful. And it's like, I have to still remind him from time to time that not only his hair is beautiful, but he is beautiful. His skin is beautiful.
Yeah.
I think his complexion is gorgeous. His face is so,
What's the name of that book I used to read to you, Gracie?
You read a lot of books, and you're going to need a bit more specific.
We read one of your books yesterday.
You read a lot of books to me.
But it was basically... Oh goodness! And it was it's a, what is her name? Kadir Nelson and his wife wrote it. They were an author illustrator duo, and it is written for Black children, and it talks about like the different shades of Black people and the different types of Black hair and how it's all beautiful and we're all unique and
We did recently get this one book called. I think it's at the High Museum called Squalor.
Yeah, that's a beautiful book.
And it's about this little girl who's comparing herself to her sister whose skin was lighter than hers. They were both Black, but her sister's skin was like a little bit lighter. and like people would call her sunrise or sunset or something, like, you know, beautiful with the sun. And her skin was a lot darker than such, and she'd be like, and I got called nighty and like something like that.
What?
I just really, you know, realizing that she is beautiful.
Yes.
It's a really pretty book.
Well, you know, I mean, so from based on like what you see on television and especially when I was growing up, what you saw in the music videos and what you even in Essence magazine and Jet magazine, it was the light skin, skinny girls with not a lot of curves, and it goes back to just like internalized trauma, generational trauma, where we have been taught to hate ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, if it's not white, it's not right. So you have people like Michael Jackson getting all this plastic surgery and straightening his hair, and you know, he hated his nose since he was a little boy.
Oh, and he was so gorgeous.
And he basically him
gorgeous.
or Little Kim, people are
Girl.
ruining themselves
Yes. and
trying
look
to
crazy doing
achieve.
it.
Well, what's funny to me is, and well, it's changing now, but back then people were ruining themselves to look more white. Even white people to look more white. But now, you know, it's like you got to be brown to be down. People want curves, and they want the lips, and they want, you know, you have white women trying to culturally appropriate their natural hair. You know, they're talking, because when they wear their hair curled, they wear their natural hair.
That's not what that means.
I'm
sorry, that's not what that means.
It's not what it means at all.
That's not what it means.
But
It's hilarious though.
you know, I was thinking about this the other day when I was watching your video, Grace, of the girl with her purple hair, and just seeing all these like white chicks coloring their hair in all these different colors. Black women have been doing that for years. And when black women had purple hair and aqua hair, it was ghetto. It was unprofessional. She looks ratchet. She looks like trash. But now that white women are doing it, oh, it's beautiful. It's artistic. You know? So I just, it's though it is getting better, it's going to take
We have a long way to go.
a lot
It's
of
getting
time.
better, but we have a long way to go.
The Urban Dictionary defines bad hair as a popular term in the African American community. It is extremely curly, wavy, and is described as nappy and kinky. It is unmanageable and is the opposite of good hair. Those with this type of hair is usually dyed and fried with chemicals to get it to look like a white woman's hair.
How do you feel about Stacey Abrams and how she's portrayed? She's like natural. She doesn't wear her hair straight. She wears it curly and not, I don't want to say not put together curly, but just kind of like have it doing its own. It's not like a uniform curl, I guess I should say.
Yeah, and to me, I think the way the media and I guess her opposing party portrays her as this angry black woman, and you know, and I think it does have a lot to do with her hair, because I kind of think that they still think it gives them more of a tough, rough look, and so as much as I would hate to say it, I think that if she to have a softer look to her and not portray her as this angry black woman that's yelling, it may just, the difference could just be her hair, you know. And I mean, I just think that, you know, some people are just kind of stuck in their ways, and you know, you got these older politicians that not really fully on board with, you know, the natural hair movement, and I think they kind of harp on that and kind of portray her as this angry black woman, and that just has this rough, tough look. And if you look at the ads, it's just always her yelling, and you know, just so it's like the whole appearance is I think it's portrayed wrong.
Industry, like, have you guys seen a change? Are more women wearing their hair curly? Is it acceptable now? Is it allowed now? Because I know there's a point where you can't just walk in with no afro.
Right.
You'll get in trouble.
But how dare you? That's how my hair grows out my head. So why are you telling me that how my hair naturally grows out my head is not acceptable?
Yeah. And I work in the federal government, and working there, especially working in DC, when I was in DC, I'm one of those people that I'm just a rebel. So I would have those days, because especially when it was hard to find a stylist in DC. If I was having to do my own hair and I was like, I don't feel like doing all this hair, I would rock my natural hair, and it would be a big puff. And because my hair wasn't trained to be the type of puff that kind of shrunk, so it was all kind of neat, mine was big and it flowed. You know, I looked like, you know, Clifford the Big Red Dog type deal. You know,
Clifford had an afro.
You know, his tail, you know, was puffy and everything, but it was just like it was all this hair. And I got to a point where I just didn't care, because if you know this is about to be a lawsuit, right? If you write me up or send me home, so they're not going to try that. But I did start to see more women trying the whole natural thing. But I think it was a self-conscious thing, because I haven't seen, it's just this wave of women just doing it. It's not like that in the federal government at all. What they assume as professional is not natural. It's, you know, your hair straight or in braids, you know, and it can't be.
Oh, you can wear your hair braids.
You can wear your hair in braids.
Oh, wow.
You can do the braid thing. But it still needs to be, in their opinion, neat. It needs to be neat, not drawing attention to yourself.
So you are a lawyer.
I am.
And I'm pretty sure there are there's probably like rules and a certain image you have to keep up when you go into the courthouse. Have you seen a difference in hair from when you started practicing law to now?
Yes, I mean, for sure I have. But let me just say this. So, you know, being a lawyer and being a black woman in law, I mean, there's a small percentage of us doing that, right? When you think about the percentage of lawyers and you think about what the percentage of black women are, it's not a whole lot. It seems like a lot more, right? Because we're in Atlanta. But it's not a whole lot of us. And this natural hair journey, this natural hair thing, this is something that I think a lot of us think that, you know, people whose hair's not like ours, it's something that they have to get used to and have to accept. But quite frankly, what I found when I was first entering the profession in 2007, 2008, was that other black women, you know, who were, you know, older and grew up with the straight hair and this is how you're supposed to look, they first, what I found, seemed to be resistant to it, because it wasn't what they perceived to be professional. And that is something that shocked me initially, because I anticipated getting pushback and getting blowback from people who did not look like us, whose hair was not like us. But it was the older women who first told me that, you know, this is not how you wear your hair. You need to be professional, needs to be slicked back in a bun. But that attitude and that mindset has completely changed and shifted. Now, we're not all the way there yet, but there certainly is a shift in what is deemed professional. I think that with the uptick of just kind of being unapologetically black, that basically you force people to accept you who you are. Now, that's not to say you can go to court and have your hair all over your head. It's not being combed, it's not being kept. But, you know, I certainly wear my hair natural to court. It looks nice, it looks neat when I do it, and the whole thing is just to look professional. So over time, there has certainly been a shift with respect to wearing natural hair in courtrooms, and not even just in courtrooms, but even in legal offices. So I think that, you know, the journey continues, and I think that that's one thing that we still have to do. We have to keep asserting ourselves and asserting who we actually are, and saying that your definition of professionalism does not define me. As long as I am in here looking nice, looking neat, looking well kempt, then my hair should not be an issue. So the trend is certainly changing, but there is still a little bit more work that needs to be done. So I worked in DC,
at a legal organization. It was very, you know, highbrow and kind of affluent. And I was a lawyer there. And I used to wear my hair natural. I used to wear my afro. I used to wear faux locks. And you know, that's just how I wore my hair, and it was fine. No one had an issue. So if I have braids or locks, I certainly like will pull my hair back in a bun. So one day I came and I had my hair pressed, and you know, when you wear your afro, there is shrinkage, especially for my type of hair. And so I would wear my little afro, and then one day I got my hair pressed, and I was the only black person in this unit. And the number of compliments that I got, and I remember my supervisor at the time was like, "Wow, you look so professional." I would never forget that.
Your hair was straight?
When my hair was pressed, and I vowed not to, in that organization, not to ever get my hair pressed again.
Wow.
Because if that was the sentiment, you are going to learn. You are going to learn what professionalism is with respect to me. So yeah.
Okay.
But it is this narrative that hair that is more akin to that of European texture and European looks is more professional. It's more acceptable, and it's, to be quite frankly, it's prettier to them. And so I think that because we have, like you said, been brainwashed with this level of beauty that does not reflect who we are, we have constantly found ourselves in a position where we have to be the ones to conform. Right? And so now it's about time for us to be who we are, and if somebody needs to change their views, it's not going to be us.
Yes, I am.
The Crown Act stands for Creating a Respectful and Open World for Natural Hair. The Crown Act was created in 2019 by Dove and Crown Coalition in partnership with then State Senator Holly J. Mitchell of California to ensure protection against discrimination based on race-based hairstyles by extending statutory protection to hair textures and protective styles such as braids, locks, twists, and knots in the workplace and public school.
Why did you want to go natural?
I decided to go natural because one of the side effects from getting relaxers, I would get these horrible scabs in my head. And I could not keep the relaxer in for longer than 10 minutes. But 10 minutes was like the max for it to take. Was the minimum for it to take. And so I would end up with these big, thick, horrible scabs in my head. And over time, I just realized like this can't be healthy. If something is burning holes in your head and in your skin, you know, eventually it's getting into your skin. It's breaking the skin. So it's got to be getting in. So it was at that point I decided that I was done with it.
So, you know, they're trying to say that they're trying to link relaxers to fibroids and to cancer in Black women. Have you had any experience with fibroids or cancer or anything?
I absolutely have. So as I shared with you, I had my first relaxer when I was 6 years old. And when I got into my mid-30s, I started having a lot of female issues, and I found out that I had a fibroid. It was really big, and you know, the doctor wanted me to have this very invasive surgery, which I was against, because even though the fibroid was very big, they said it was about the size of a grapefruit. It was just one fibroid, but it wasn't really causing me any sort of pain or anything like that. The only reason I was aware that I had it is because I had had an exam for something else, and they said, oh yeah, and by the way, you have a fibroid. So I ultimately did have the fibroid removed by way of surgery. And then not too long after that, I did have a diagnosis of a pre-breast cancer condition. So I don't know whether or not that they're linked, but I mean, perms, you know, that chemical, who knows, you know, what it does, you know, to your body. And I had been doing it for so long, you know, practically all of my life.
30 years.
Right. So it's possible that there may have been some link. You know, I'm not sure, but I'm thankful that the breast cancer issue was basically a pre-cancer condition called ductal carcinoma in situ, also known as DCIS. So I had abnormal cells in my milk ducts, but they hadn't turned into cancer because they hadn't broken out into other areas of my body. So who knows? It's possible that there could have been a link to the perms with the cancer, a link to, you know, the fibroids. I wouldn't be surprised.
I first learned about the fibroids probably about maybe 10 years ago, when I was going for a routine exam. And the doctor just kind of blurted it out. She was like, "Oh yeah, you have about 4 fibroids," which was news to me because I had no idea. And it was just kind of brushed under the rug. No one really followed up on it, even though I had asked about it for years and years and years. Eventually, I started having issues with them, and after seeing numerous doctors, it went from 4 to 5 to about 25.
Oh my goodness!
And I had myomectomy done, which didn't improve anything, and I ended up having to have a hysterectomy. The fibroids were so bad, they were pressing on my bladder, my bowel, and like started growing into my ovaries.
Oh my goodness!
And so I had a hysterectomy in 2020. And they got that out. I've been fairly okay since then, but this last mammogram that I had, they found something in my breast. And so followed up with ultrasound. They found 2 masses in my breast. I had to go for a biopsy where they found a 3rd mass, and they biopsied all 3, and they came back non-cancerous, but I have fibroadenomas in both breasts. And so they're going to follow up with me in 6 months to make sure they haven't grown or changed in any kind of way.
Did they say, I mean, I know it's hard for them to say what is the cause of this. I mean, did they say maybe...
They don't know what the cause is. They haven't shared that. They said it's common among African American women. So obviously we don't all come from the same backgrounds, you know, and I've lived in multiple states over the years, different environments, but they've never pinned down, or at least expressed to me, what the cause could be. Sometimes it feels like it's not something that they are really making a priority to figure out.
Researchers are linking relaxers to fibroids. Uterine fibroids are in women, but mostly in African American women. American Journal of Epidemiology has found a potential link between fibroids and hair relaxers. The study's findings are not clear-cut to make it a definitive connection between the hair relaxers and fibroids. At the same time, the study made observations regarding potential links, such as the ingredients of the relaxers are not regulated by the FDA. Chemical hair relaxers contain ingredients that are known to damage skin and hair, as well as having paraben and phthalates. Damage that the relaxers can cause include dermatitis, burns, skin irritations, lesions, and hair loss. The paraben and phthalates are capable of influencing hormones in the body. The paraben and phthalates have had a negative impact on the cells of experimental animals. It is possible that these substances can be absorbed into the body by way of the damage caused by the relaxers. Do you like your hair? Can you tell the difference in your hair from when you had a relaxer? And
Absolutely.
difference good or difference bad?
Difference great.
Really?
Absolutely wonderful. It grows faster. It goes longer. And it's always been thick. It's thicker now.
Are you happy with the decision that you made to go natural?
My hair has never been healthier.
Oh, that's good.
It doesn't break off like it used to. It's not brittle like it used to. Every now and then I get scabs, but that's because I scratch a lot because it gets dry. But it's way more healthier, and it's just probably one of the best decisions I've ever made.
No turning back, huh?
No turning back.
That's good. Glad to hear that.
Thank you for joining my clients and I in hearing everyone's hair journey. And remember, be your own kind of beautiful.